Welcome to Primary Science with Miss Devita. In today's video, we're going to talk about animals and their environment. And here are two focus questions that we're going to answer by watching this video. The first question is, what is habitat? And the second question is, in what ways are animals adapted to their environment? And now we're going to start with a big word, habitat. H-A-B-I-T-A-T-S. Habitats. To learn about habitats, we're going to observe some pictures. And here's the first. This is a picture of an ocean. An ocean is an example of a habitat. This one is considered as the largest habitat in our planet. Can you tell me what are the living things that you can find in the ocean? Right, there are so many fishes, right? The starfish, and many things that I could not even mention in this video. Alright, let's move on to the next one. This is a rainforest. The rainforest is also a habitat. Compared to the ocean, of course this one is smaller. And in the rainforest, you might also find different living things from what we have in the ocean. And this is a picture of a school garden. School garden is also a habitat, but of course this one is smaller compared to the rainforest. Yeah, in our school garden we might find some plants and also animals living in there. This is a tree. A tree is also a habitat for other living things. Look at this picture. Do you see the picture of the fern there? The fern lives on the tree, so we can say that a tree is a habitat for the fern. Yes, this one is considered as a small habitat. Let's talk about something more on the smaller habitat. A rotting log. You might also notice that somehow there are some mushrooms that can grow on a rotting log. Yeah, this one is considered as a small habitat, but to say it again, the rotting log is a habitat for the mushrooms. Oh, be careful. Do you know that your skin can be a habitat for other living things? Many kinds of bacteria and fungi can live on your skin and other parts of your body, including in your mouth and intestines. Some of them can make us sick, but the others are harmless. Don't be too surprised when I say that your intestine can be a habitat for some bacteria. But it's not really a bad news, you know guys. Have a look on the picture. The blue circle, these are the good bacteria. We need them to digest our food. But the red circle here are the bad bacteria. If we have too much of them, it may cause us stomachache and even diarrhea. So these are two tips that we can do to control the bad bacteria inside our intestine. The first one, eat only halal and clean foods. And the second one, don't forget to wash your hands before eating. We have just compared that habitats have different sizes. But what is actually a habitat? So we can say that habitat is a place where living things live. But of course, it's not just about the place, but the habitat should provide the living things with what they need to survive. What are these things? These are the water, the food, the shelter, protection, and even a safe place to reproduce. This illustration shows us a seashore. Seashore is actually a habitat too. Well, now pay attention to it. What can you identify on this habitat? Yeah, you may pay attention to the seawater, and you might also pay attention to the white sand. Right. And now, can you identify any living things that lives in the seashore? Well, in the picture you'll see the coconut tree, and if we are lucky enough, we might find some other living things like the seagrass, sea star, sea crab, and sea eagle. Okay, these are the living things that you might find in the seashore. Now let's compare to the next one. This one is not really far away from the seashore, a mangrove swamp. Yeah, mangrove swamp here. Do you see any white sand here? Of course not, because the soil are muddy. So here we don't have the white sandy soil, but these are the muddy soil. Yeah, and of course the kind of living things will be different. Yeah, if you have a look on the picture there are lots of mangrove trees. Yeah, and if we are lucky enough, we might find some other living things like the mud lobster, egret, and a water monitor. And so far we have talked about the different living things that we might find in a mangrove swamp and also in a seashore. We're just talking about these two habitats, but you already identified that each habitat might have different living things. And this is because the conditions in each habitat is different. So now we're going to talk about how the animals suited or adapted to their environment. Look at the picture. Which feet belongs to a dog and which feet belong to an eagle? Yeah, you may notice here that the feet with the sharp claws belongs to the eagle, while the picture on the right, these belongs to the dog. Feet with sharp claws, this belongs to the eagle, of course. This has a function to catch animal for food. But this one looks cute. Webbed feet. Yeah. The dog has the webbed feet because it needs the feet to paddle in the water. So now we can say that eagle and the dog live in different habitats. So that's how they have different ways to adapt to their environment. But then here comes a question. Why do animals adapt to their environment? It's just a simple things taken from this picture. There are two giraffes. The first one with the longer neck and the other one with the shorter neck. Which one do you think will survive? Of course the one with the longer neck, because it's easy for the giraffe with the longer neck to catch for the food, right? So again, back to the question, why do animals adapt to their environment? The answer is simply to survive. To survive. Do you know the habitat of a camel? Yes, it's a hot and sandy desert. Yeah, and there are very little water and food. So in what ways is a camel adapted to the environment in the desert? Yeah, the first one is a hump. Its hump stored fats that can be changed into energy. These help the camel to survive for months without food. Second one is the double rows of eyelashes. This has a function to protect its eyes against sunlight and the blowing sand. It also has special nostrils that can be closed to block out blowing sand. And it has the large and padded feet that prevent it from sinking onto the soft sand. And now let's talk about, this is a picture of a polar bear. Polar bears live in the Arctic that is very cold. Snow covers the ground and water is usually trapped under the ice. In what ways is a polar bear adapted to the environment in the Arctic? Yeah, the first one we're going to talk about its white fur. It helps the polar bear to blend in with the snow and the ice. Thus, it cannot be seen easily by the hunters or the animal it hunts. And the next one, to keep its body warm, it has thick layer of fat and thick fur. And it also has nostrils that can be closed, so it will keep the water out when they swim under the water to hunt. And look at that, they have the sharp claws. It helps them to catch another animal for food. Yeah, and then it has a large and wide feet that prevent it from sinking into the soft snow. This is a picture of a shark. Shark is a fish. It lives in the water. So, what adaptation does the shark have to adapt it to its environment? Yeah, the first one, it has gills. The gills help it breathe under the water. It also has fins and tails. It is for the movement and the balance. And if you also pay attention to the body shape, this is what we call with a streamlined body shape. So it will reduce the water resistance to help the shark to move quickly through the water. This is a mudskipper in a mangrove swamp. Well, mudskipper is actually a fish, but it's not like any other fish. It has special adaptations to its environment. The first one, it has eyes on the top of its head. That it helps the mudskipper to see above the water and under the water. And the second one, you may pay attention to the one, strong and muscular fins. Yes, it's a fin because it's a fish. Yeah. This strong, muscular fins help the mudskipper to skip on the land. And it has gills to breathe in the water, but when they are out of the water, they breathe through their skin and mouth. Do you agree with me that talking about animals' adaptations is very interesting? Now let's talk more about these adaptations. The first one is an adaptation to get food. Pay attention to the picture. It's a beak of a parrot. A parrot has a strong curved beak to crack open hard nuts. The next one, it is an adaptation to attract mates. Yeah, pay attention. This is a peacock. Peacock have colorful tail feathers which they display to attract their mates. This is an adaptation for defense. Pufferfish puff themselves up to look bigger to scare off of their enemy. And these are adaptations for predators. I'm taking an example of a cheetah. In general, there are at least 3 adaptations that a predator should have. The speed to catch for its prey, and of course it has the sharp teeth, yeah, and then it has a sharp eyesight. After we talk about predators, now let's talk about how its prey try to protect themselves. Yes, it's an adaptation for protection. Have you ever noticed why elephants usually live in groups? Yes, it is for them to protect each other. They live in group, so they will be stronger when they found a predator. And here is an adaptation for the night visions. Yes, for the nocturnal animal or the animals that are active on the night time. Yeah, they have a special big large eyes because it has a function to catch as many light as possible to help them to see in the dark. And this one also another example of animal. This is a lanternfish. Lanternfish usually lives in the deep ocean, and there are very little light. That's why it have super large eyes considered compared to other fish, and it has the function to catch as many light as possible so they can live even with the low light. Yes, the large eye. It is impossible for us to talk about all animals' adaptation in this video. Oh, it might span our entire life to talk about animals' adaptation in a video. Well, boys and girls, I think we have come to an understanding that living things, they adapted to their environment to survive. Not just the plant, not just the animal, human too. Human adapted to their environment. I would be very happy to discuss with you about how the human adapted to their environment. Leave your comments below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on my next video.